The first tap of a conductor's wand. The first rivet in a mile-high tower. The master link at the genesis of a never-ending chain. The moment a single empty canvas meets a singular master stroke. There is no one thing. Because now, there are many. Because soon, there will be more. Because one is ever the beginning. Like the first link in an infinite chain, or the first rivet in the tallest skyscraper. The master stroke is found in the masterpiece. What will you begin?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 62nd episode of the World Blockchain Roundtable. Our hosts for today are Greg from Rivet, Lisa Mighty Davis, or Litecoin Lisa, as you may know her around the internets, Satoshi Shon, entrepreneur and everyone's friend, Joe Rotes, founder and architect of Dragon Chain, and I'm Dave from Den.Social, and I'll be your master of ceremonies for today's episode. A quick update on the WBRT layer ownership tokens distribution from last week's episode. So this week, each of the hosts from last week will receive 120 lot. Each topic contributor from last week will receive 37 lot. And as a reminder, last week's theme was on DAOs as constitutional city-states. And it was suggested by Lisa, which means she will receive 37 lot for suggesting that topic. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Pretty interesting. And also, yeah, the ownerships, I should remind you that they come with passive perpetual income based on the health of this show and the popularity of it and how much you personally interact and work to help us spread the word and things like that. And you also get free edits and governance votes. The free edits and governance votes is pretty relevant for some WBRTDAO updates that I should give out. We have August themes. We got selected themes for next month. So the first week is going to be implications to recorded history. I think that's the one that I voted for personally, so got it in there. And then on August 11th, we'll have politics and blockchain, followed by crypto market manipulation and Web 1.0, history and limitations. You know, it's funny. I was just thinking a couple days ago, like, man, can we just go back to Web 1 at this point? So that'll be a fun episode at the end of August.
No, yeah, that's absolutely right. I think that was actually a real motivation sort of underlying the ennui that made Web3 possible, right?
Yeah, you're probably right about that. Yeah, what have we lost and how can we get it back?
Yeah,
that'll be great.
Of Ed Snowden's book talks about it in probably the best description I've ever read of it.
That the personal record one or permanent record book?
Yeah, permanent record.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, he goes into it at length and just sort of paints a picture of it as like a refuge for everybody who was shoved out of the sort of the grunge movement, basically.
Yeah, we should get Ed on
all
here
of a
one
sudden
of these days,
the cool kids started wearing all this stuff.
Offer him a secure VPN to get him on the show one day. Let's see if we can do that. So speaking of results, so that was results of August's. If you didn't know, the topics for the show are voted in by the community, by you, suggested and voted in by the community. So more results. There was another vote that was on a proposal by Lisa Mighty Davis, which would allow all the hosts to post content in the WBRT layer instead of just the WBRT entity itself. Previously, it was just for the episodes, keep it tight, that kind of thing. But as we evolve, it makes sense that the host should be able to talk about who they are, what they do, and especially since we have a chat room. I'm not even manning the chat room right now. I'll pop in there in a minute to see if anyone's in it. So that was approved, and because of that, there are some more. If you're looking in the governance section, you'll see some various votes or proposals that were brought up to support the proposal that passed for Lisa. So I think that's going to be basically what lot holders are going to be able to post now. Is that what's going on?
This was just the hosts, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
What we want, what I think we want, is to make it so that any lot holder can do it, but we need to
For
put
now,
another
it's just
vote
the
in for
hosts.
that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's cool because you know what? I haven't seen just on Den in general. I haven't seen a lot of examples of this particular governance feature that's been there for like a long time. But you know, okay, these individuals are allowed to post that kind of
cool.
stuff. Yep.
That's neat.
Yeah, totally.
You know, we're one step down the road though towards anonymous posting only in that layer, which could be a fun.
The problem then is no one could get the rewards for
Oh yeah, get the actual the lot reward.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. It could be a trade-off somebody's willing to make. You know, like Ed did. There's trade-offs out there. So that vote will be due next Tuesday, and then we'll be able to post stuff. So this week, the theme of this week is the pitfalls of celebrity shilling, which was nominated by Jacob Wayne. And we do have a celebrity that wasn't able to make it, but sent a video message to our friend Satoshi Sean here, and I thought maybe we should check that out. You know, he's not going to be live, but
what I wanted to know if this had a weird vibe, because we're not like super buddies, but like every now and then we talk, and like he sent me Happy Father's Day, and then I woke up on my birthday and he sent me this video. It's not like sent by a friend or cameo. It's just he sent.
But you're everyone's friend.
Yeah,
Right.
I actually had a depressing moment because of that this week. But anyway, he sent me this, and I was like, "That's a little weird vibe." And then he texted me like at 10 at night. It's like, "How's your?"
Oh, you cut out, Sean.
Speaking of Sean cutting out, I think we had some potential that there was a shadow ban on the account, right?
Yeah,
I don't know if it's on the Twitter side. I didn't get asked you.
I don't know if you noticed, but there were far fewer lot given out this time based on views because we have that's the mechanism, right?
Yep, they're deboosting
and so
us.
Yeah, our backstage director goes through and keeps up with the views and stuff in an effort to be proactive and fair about handing out what people have earned for themselves. And it looks like for no reason, you look at the last 12 months or something, 13 months, and there's sort of an average of views, and it's always been within like 500 or 600, 400 to 600, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden it dropped off to just
a few. Just happens to be on the one episode that I suggested the content.
Right?
It's actually
and it was the constitutional city-state episode. The Dallas Constitutional City-State episode.
Yeah, and I was the Master of Ceremonies Grand Poobah. And if you look up on when Sean comes back, he's got this website that you can see, like you can go to and put your handle in and see how you're shadow banned. And I am like one of the maximum shadow banned people.
Oh yeah, I haven't even checked my stuff.
Yeah.
I say inappropriate things all the time, so I wouldn't be surprised.
That can help us get out of it. So I know some tricks around shadow ban.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I mean, honestly, like it's annoying and it's wrong and it's immoral, but I kind of feel honored at the same time.
Things,
little feather in my hat. I don't have enough tinfoil on it, but
there's lawsuits right now in Louisiana and somewhere else against Twitter and a bunch of the.
Oh, really?
I would say, get your roundtable lot, because that's just going to be one of the many that is going to be in a class action and have some amount of payout.
Oh, interesting.
Their damages will be accrued to you because you were measurably harmed.
Yeah, that's because we talked, Joe and I have talked about this before. Like, one thing I think we might have in common is that we like to look 10 years ahead to be like, okay, what are the implications if this happens way over there? And so with Den, like there's things that happen like with Twitter, right? What do you call it? Hostile takeover or buyouts and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. It's like, oh, you know what? This is a DAO, and the owners have these tokens, and to buy out the community or to control this community, you would need to enrich the community itself, the creators, the people have been participating all along, because they're who holds these tokens to control things. You know what I mean? So that's the buyout, is you enrich everyone who's been working,
and on the other
throwing
side,
them away.
on the other side, that's still just one vote. And that's the beauty on that behavior system, because the fact that with Den, that you would have to, because we included the behavior in the DAO, that you'd have to control the tokens, control the liquidity, and control the behavior, meaning you'd have to come in and produce content and do things in order to actually take over, which I'm like, okay.
Theoretically, we now know the number each
individual person
to buy out Twitter.
What's that?
We have a hard number it would take to buy out Twitter. In fact, we have a number that's so good for them that they will sue you to force you to do it if you try to back out. Right?
Yeah.
So all we
After saying no, you can't do
raise
this.
that much money with a DAO, and a DAO can buy Twitter.
Yeah.
And isn't it funny that whoever controls that was so up in arms over Musk possibly buying Twitter that they went ballistic and started.
The whole deep state went after him.
They were up in arms before, and it's interesting to see all this play out, because there's no way it wasn't like, of course, Elon knew what he was doing. His whole thing is to create a generations long master plan, so of course he knows what he's doing. And so at first he didn't say anything about buying it out. He was just like, I'm going to have a controlling share at the board. That's all. Just a massive share of the vote at the board of directors or whatever it
was
is.
Worth it for the memes.
And that was the first, and that was like a way to get to get a temperature check, right? How will the response be? And then from there, it's like, okay, based on that response, we can go forward with the next step, which is presenting our plans to take over the whole dang thing.
Almost, actually. He could have, hypothetically, had they not done what they did in response to that, continued to accrue shares until he had a controlling interest without doing the whole rigmarole process. Like, it would have basically been a takeover by accretion, where he just slowly but surely loops in enough shares.
Right. But what I'm saying is maybe that's the reason he did, because they were like so knee jerk and they were so against it that he was like, oh, you don't like that? You're really going to hate this.
you guys have to think about this pattern, though. He started with, I'm going to take Tesla private, right? At 42, joke, whatever.
That's what he's once again getting in trouble for.
Okay. He immediately starts shilling Doge, right? And I at the time thought, I don't think he actually has Doge, or at least he's definitely not dumping it when he's pumping it.
It was the only one where the developers weren't rude to him.
Well, why is he doing that? That the SEC ended up with tons of subpoenas to know how much Doge did you sell after this comment, how much, blah, 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 that whole thing, right?
Yeah, but
well, wait a minute here now. Do you think he really cares about Twitter? No, I think that he realized that Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, all of those guys are fraudulently, they raised money fraudulently based upon exponential user growth, and they are now selling ads fraudulently to these known shadow BS fake accounts. They aren't bots that are doing something. They are bots that are creating content in order to sell ads, right? And so with all of this crap, I think he knew this was number one, worst case, a way for discovery. Honestly, because when they wouldn't give him those bot numbers, that's what's going to come out of it.
Right. Well, I think honestly, when we're dealing with Elon, what we're dealing with is a guy who, if he says something and he's clear on his position, it's not subterfuge. But where he doesn't speak, you have room for speculation. Guy's motives are pretty cut and dried, though. If anybody's read through the Wait But Why series and this is a really good series to read. Have you guys read it?
I have not. No.
There's like a whole Wait But Why 5-part series now. Where Tim Urban goes and interviews him personally at length about all of his projects and in an effort to decode his brain.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah.
I mean, it is like a book and a half, maybe two to read. But
I mean, I've read through a little bit of the master plan
in a nutshell pretty easily. If he's doing something like this, it's because for whatever reason he's emotionally invested in it as a thing.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's he got pissed that the SEC came after him and told him he couldn't tweet anymore. Yeah, and realized, wait a minute. Yeah, I think that's what this whole thing is about, and I think it's beautiful. And on top of what's happening with Ripple and Library, it's an amazing set of coincidental timings. So there he is.
Hey, Sean's back. All right.
Hey, is Twitter a public company?
Currently, yes.
Yes.
So the other thing is that kind of parallels what's going on with Reggie Middleton serving Coinbase, and Coinbase is about to have its report to its shareholders, and if they don't mention that they have been put on notice that they're infringing on the patent and all that, then they are, because they have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders to disclose any risk. So part of this could be that Elon could be bringing up that he's publicly doing all this publicly, and Twitter should have been reporting all this risk of these fake bot accounts to their shareholders, and so their shareholders could hold Twitter accountable for all of that, right?
Assuming that the board is anywhere near interested in the success of the product, which they're clearly not. Like, they don't even own any shares, really.
Yeah, it's all controlled, and it's all politically.
They're there for the narrative control. That's what they're in it for.
Yep. So, and
yeah,
they
I was
accountable to their shareholders for the.
But that's the thing. I think the SEC knows that. I think they know that with Facebook. I think they know it with Reddit. I think they know there's tons of that fraud going on, but because of politics, they're not going after it. So
they're in on it.
I think so much was exposed, though. With with what he did, because there's so much like the average person doesn't realize, and it had ripple effects through everything. I mean, everything to like January 6th. When he exposed that like half of the former vice president's followers are fake and bots, you can't compare that.
You mean Brandon?
To know how many Russian bots there were.
You mean Brandon, the former vice president?
Huh?
Did you mean Brandon, the former vice president, or I mean the literal former vice president?
No, I mean Brandon, former vice president.
Okay, cool.
That's, no one's ever made that point before. That's a good point there, Greg. You're a smart fella. But yeah, the former vice president, Joe Biden, half of his followers were bots. And when you see that, and then you also, on the other hand, he got more votes than any other president in U.S. history, including Obama. And Trump. So it's just more fuel for the fire. It's just another thing that makes you go,
there's a lot of that lately.
Yeah.
So, I mean, actually, this goes even further. There's an industry in this, guys. I've done some research into some companies like somebody really gets my goat on Twitter or like on another social platform, says something I know is wrong, but they're very effective at shoving it down everybody's throat, and they've got somehow the right side of the algorithm and they're boosted. I look into them a little bit. And I've discovered more than a few connections to companies that specialize in anonymous proxying for bots. So, I mean, you can buy a bot army to be really legitimate looking fake followers, and they'll be untraceable.
In fact, I remember a couple of times in chat in this show, I've seen somebody keeps Shilling a shill for hire bot site in the chat. I've noticed a couple of times. So yeah, it's out there. You can just go buy it.
But Twitter itself has become the weirdest place for me. It's kind of like if you want to get laid, then you go to a lesbian bar. It's not going to happen. Anyone, you can look at any politician, any big figurehead. Anytime they make a post, the top comments are all, "I hate you. You are so dumb." Well, you know what I mean? If
immediately too, like super quick.
It's like a senator can put out, "Hey, puppies are great," and it's like, "Yeah, you want to kill everything. You want to kill the puppies and eat them." And all of the comments are just people that hate them, and these are followers. These are supposed to be like kind of like fans. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It used to be like Roger Ver. Roger Ver could put out anything. If he mentioned me in something, then like bots started going after me. There's entire accounts that are like, "Yeah, we're bots." Anytime Roger Ver mentions something or talks about someone, then they post about it and how this person is connected to him. That blew my mind. But it's just so obvious that Twitter is not there for its function. Its function is supposed to be like, hey, I'm a star, I'm a celebrity, I'm whatever. If you want to know about me, then follow me, and you're my fan, you're my friend, you whatever. And it's completely not that. The majority of whatever followers that people have now, it seems, are the complete opposite.
And because the vision of Twitter died, you have things like
what was the vision of Twitter?
Well, that is the what Sean's talking about. The didn't it really prototype at South by Southwest as an ad hoc cell network or something, where people were just like, it was current events. Here's what's happening in real time, micro blogging thing. But being able to follow people you were interested in and get sort of in a window into their life a little bit. But now you have that's all like private Discord channels and Patreon and stuff like that, because Twitter isn't useful for that at all anymore. And so it opened up markets, I think, after that started going the way of control and centralization. And just a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, time is weird for me. I don't know if you noticed the anarchy sweep on Twitter. There was one day, it must have been like a automated compiled list based on keywords or something. But one of my favorite people, Friendly Fluffy Vermin Supreme, got banned from Twitter. And this is the guy who all he wants is for everyone to have free ponies and better dental hygiene. That's all. This is his whole platform. You know what I mean? Right. Free ponies and brush your teeth, please. And nope, gone. Because he held up a can of soup or something that said, anarchy, vermin's anarchy soup or something, or talks about anarchy. But he's like a really friendly, like awesome, funny dude, But they collect the algorithm that doesn't exist, that the employees say doesn't exist, just sweeps away a certain opinion whenever it is convenient. And I find that to be not only manipulative, but dangerous. For
maybe the
security.
blue dot turned this. Maybe the algorithm watches that blue dot, and if the blue dot turns red or whatever, maybe it flips on. It's like, oh, all the anarchists are gone. Maybe that's how it works. It's just is it just literally an algorithm?
I think he's back now, but it would just surprise me. I was like, obviously, that's what happened.
That's kind of what you were talking. That was the death of Twitter. I think maybe, like you could say, Bitcoin was created by the deep state or whoever, but it's kind of gotten away from them. Even if they still hold Satoshi's coins, it'll hurt, but it won't destroy it. I think that's kind of maybe what they did with Twitter. It's like, we can control it, and then it blew up, and then it started to be like really kind of make things different. I mean, with what Trump did. He literally went straight to the people. He went around the mainstream media. He went around all these other things that were set in place for, decades to control. And they weren't set there to control, but they've been opted for that. But he was able to go around all that and go directly to the people through Twitter, and it was not acceptable at all. I think that was the beginning of the death of Twitter. They're like, whoa, we have to get a handle on this shit. This is not cool. People are able to talk about whatever, and they're able to
it was Arab Spring.
Educate other people.
Wow.
Arab Spring did it. You guys remember when Egypt revolted because of social media? And then all the Middle East followed suit? In the follow-up to that, there's actually this really great Jacob Applebaum interview where he's on a panel with a whole bunch of the actual world leaders talking about, post Fallout. Okay, we're in charge of these countries now. What are we going to do to change the way that that the internet was suppressed and used to suppress these voices that allowed for this to happen? Because this needed to happen for a long time, and the internet is what freed them from the iron grip for long enough for it to, right? And their response was to look down at their shoes. I mean, like literally. They had every intention of retrenching and building back defenses against this, as opposed to, and what we're seeing is the retrenched building of defenses. That's where we're living.
I remember that pretty clearly.
We're living in a world that
actually
reacted to that.
Because I remember thinking, like that was one of the very overt examples of Egypt shut off the internet. They just shut it off. The end. No internet. Sorry. Stop organizing on Facebook or whatever it was, you know. And people were naming their kids Facebook or stuff like that, you know. And but that illustrated the centralization problem, right? It illustrated like the dangers of that. And I thought it was super cool that people were using ham radio to bridge communities so that people could get some sort of network connectivity and stuff like that. So that was, you know, I don't know if that was the beginning of Web3, but it was definitely a big overt signal of like, hey, this is a problem.
If you're an old Linux nerd, it was always interesting. I never took part in some of this stuff, but they were using ham radio in distant lands and then doing, I think it's HTTP over it's over SMTP, I think. Yeah, that it was basically, you know, a low bandwidth approach to still get internet. So you could do searches on the various search engines and stuff over a freaking ham radio.
I do see things that are interesting that I don't know why they exist sometimes. Like I saw a conversation about, there's a Active Directory syncing over SMTP feature in Active Directory. And the guy was like, or whoever it was like, I have no idea why this is a thing or why it exists. But I suspect it probably has something to do with submarines and polar ice caps.
Yeah, asynchronous comms.
There's even a protocol for IP over avian carriers, right? Like you can actually use a protocol to use pigeons to do packet delivery.
Yep. Now, and can I something that probably for current events is too big to cover entirely, but the interesting thing with crypto and related to what we were just talking about, you know, powers that be controlling the narrative, and the entire binary approach to divide and conquer, right? In our industry, in this industry, blockchain, which is related to the current events of Ripple case stuff. And there's seriously way too much to talk about. There's a lot going on there that I think there's something to be said about anyone's position relative to that case. That you have certain Bitcoin mostly, but there are other maximalists that think Ripple should go away. It's I don't care if it's a security, it sucks. Because of whatever reason.
Right. So they're just going to say it's a security because it's convenient.
Yeah. And because they want to say that. Then you have the people who say Ripple's not a security, but all the rest of them are. And we hate Ethereum and we hate all the rest. And then there are the people that think is not a security, nor are those. And this is all an obvious effort to separate us.
There's a fourth position that I take. And this one I hope more people take on. The debate over security, not security is itself a waste of everybody's time because all of these laws were written for a less literate, less technology savvy U.S. populace that needed more protection. None of them make sense in this day and age because the internet educated everybody and everyone knows how to read.
Yes, I agree. And I think, by the way, the third is that. I think that is if you think that none of them are security, it's because they're utilities or there's no point, there should not be such a law for
I think the
software.
utility of the SEC has run its course, and that's my
I agree. Yeah. I agree. And it's so it's an interesting thing because frankly, we are with that case, with library, with what we're doing at Dragon Chain, there is, and with what Musk is doing, in my opinion, there's real hope for this industry to actually open up and be what it's supposed to be. Whereas when I look at it, and speaking of speaking of Ver, that if you were around during those Bitcoin fork days and the prior to that, the fact it was mind-blowing to me, and it was super confusing that the Bitcoin subreddit, where a lot of the community communications happened, was censoring content. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. This is freaking Bitcoin. And guess what? It was one of those things that's almost like it's an axiom in life that if someone is trying to silence an opinion, that's the opinion you should really seek out to figure out what is this opinion?
Right.
Because it's an obvious indicator.
Right to say it. They care about everybody else's right to hear it being abridged.
Right. And so you have to think about that.
Speaking of that, I want to take a step back because I think so much has happened in the past week that everything is really kind of coming together, especially in what we are about. First off, you guys mentioned centralization, and it's cool to see so many people knowing what that is and knowing the importance of it and seeing, centralization is bad. Yeah. Hearing regular people talk about that when really that was what everybody strived for, more centralization by the good guys.
Right.
And then people have realized that all guys are bad, because power corrupts. And if you centralize it,
it just surest way to turn a good guy into a bad guy is to give them authority to stop the bad guys.
Yeah, I mean, really, communism is like one of the best examples of that. It's the most loving and hopeful and sweet and flowery. It's hippie. It's a commune. But when you centralize any authority in a government like that, it goes to hell.
Right. It's the Stanford prison experiment all over again.
So what I wanted to talk about was the I don't know if you guys know this, but it's been kind of suppressed, but it's this is Amish farmer butcher was raided by SWAT and the FDA. Also, the FDA bought a bunch of Mexican submachine guns
to stop them from making evil carbon footprint food for people to eat.
See, here's the thing. It's freaking Amish. Okay, even during the vid, they were kind of left alone. And for the government to go in and do this is a really big deal, especially the way they did it. I think it really sends a message.
What floors me about the Dutch farmer thing is they're trying to claim nitrogen.
And then the Dutch farmer thing, the government opened fire on them. I mean, they're farmers with their tractors. Like, hey, don't shut down our farms by 95%. We can't live. So it's become so transparent. It's the most transparent that they have ever been, because it's like they don't care.
Right.
Bob comes out and says everything. You can look at the last meeting they had. It's all like, hey, people's gods are dead. We're going to be their gods. We're in control. The verbiage that they're using is insane.
Right. Oh, they are clearly there's a thinly veiled veneer left over their attempt to starve the 90% of the Earth's population to death. But it's narrowing and thinning further every day.
And that's where I wanted to talk about our business. Is I've been saying for a while, as soon as every government, it's the United States. Everyone is saying there's going to be food shortages coming. You need to get ready. There, Ukraine is the breadbasket, and Dutch or the Netherlands is the number 2 breadbasket. There's not going to be enough food, right. And so it's out there.
Right.
But then it's right on the other side of the screen, where the next story is talking about how all these same governments are trying to limit food production with what they're doing in the Netherlands and what they're doing here.
Right.
And what I think is coming, like my cousin, she has like a bunch of chickens and ducks. She used to give me eggs all the time. My kids wouldn't eat them because they're like, "Ooh, that's Aunt Janie's eggs. I'm not eating her eggs. I want eggs from a professional." So, but now she throws them all away.
Professional chickens aren't very happy.
The government told her about this bird flu, and people literally, the only professionals can have, make eggs.
Right. Because we should subject individual backyard chicken keepers to the same standards that we hold people who pack the birds in so tight that they have to basically eat.
They're weird to me. How they have them.
We buy eggs at the market, and we have to buy shit that says for for animal use or for feeding your animals only, not for human use.
That's
you know
not
what I mean?
Plus, if they're going to accelerate antibiotic
point.
tolerance,
That's
they can't have anybody
because
working
that
outside the
Amish
system for
farmer,
food.
he was doing stuff like that. He was a workaround. He would only sell to people that joined his private food club. Right? It was really weird, but it was all legal. So here's what I think is going to happen. I've told people, hey, this food shortage is coming.
Like a DAO.
Even from when the vid happened and there were shortages, it's like, hey, get to know your local, right outside of town, the people that have chickens, the people that have some cows. You can go there when the big supply chain is short. Go local.
Right.
But what I think they're going to do is it's going to be outlawed. It's going to be illegal, just like the chicken eggs.
Right, but also dare them to enforce it. They think they have more control than they do. Is their ultimate policy.
Dude, SWAT at an Amish guy.
They can't send one to all the Amish farms.
But no, they would send them to the farmers markets. They would.
If they start killing people, I think the regular Joe is not going to risk going to his friend's cousin's house to get some eggs and milk. But I think what's going to happen is, I think everyone's going to see why crypto is so important. You can't go give that guy your ATM card. Cash is going to be super limited. This is why crypto was invented, and this is what it's going to be used for. You're going to have to go to that guy outside of town that has chickens, and you're going to have to pay him with cryptocurrency to get some food for your family.
And you may have to do it on a dark market in order to not be seen negotiating a deal.
We're creating a black market where the average person who pays taxes.
I hadn't thought about that in the context of.
Better learn how to buy MDMA online. You're going to need it for milk soon.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like I hadn't thought about it in the context of buying food or everyday items like that. But it's a really good point that regardless of what you think about the merits of selling of amateur pharmacists selling things on black markets and things like that, it's a pretty good exercise for how can this be done when everything's illegal? Because
here's a marketing campaign. Monero for milk. It's just got Monero. You have to have Monero to buy your milk if your family's starving. That's what
I've started to see some signs that say Monero or cash only kind of stuff.
I think food, when the food shortages hit and everything, I think buying food on your local market is going to be the same as weed. Where it's not like a super felony, but it's against the law and you're going to get in trouble.
Right.
You got a medical food license to buy.
Also need food, so they'll probably let it pass.
Well, it's already the cheese thing, right? You can't buy certain cheeses in the United States because they're scary, right?
Dude, there was an entrepreneur on every corner in Soviet Russia when the bread lines were in, right? There was an entrepreneur on every corner. You could wait in line, or you could get out of the line and go to the guy that was selling it for 5 times as much. They'd occasionally arrest them, but even the cops let them last because they needed to buy food.
When we do the Red Pill show, we could talk about the government secret underground cheese bunkers.
Cheese.
They have the cheese.
You not? Yeah, you seriously. They have. Was it like? I don't know. It's a crazy number, like 1,400 tons of government cheese. That's
cheese reserves. Of course, Biden is.
That's what it's called. It's called the government cheese reserves.
Is Biden selling all of our reserve cheese to France right now? Is that what's going on?
They're gold bars.
Strategic supply of cheese.
Well, hey, let's get in. We got a few questions today on the topic, and I wanted to say that since Sean's back, we should finish your story that you were telling, and then let's get our message in.
Man, I shouldn't talk about him if I get knocked off again. But he's a super nice guy, right? Like, I forget how long ago we started talking, but he texted me, and I was like, oh, and my kid's like, who's that? I was like, oh, it's Ashton. And my sons are huge fans of that 70s show. And as soon as they knew that I was texting with Ashton Kutcher, my kids are like, what are you doing with slavery? I was like, what? It's like, what are you doing with slavery and selling kids?
What?
What the hell are y'all talking about? And then, because I didn't even know that he was doing that. I just knew he was into crypto. That's why we started talking. I think he was into crypto a long time ago. And then I was like, he's just into crypto. It's like, yeah, he used cryptocurrency millions to stop child selling and all this. And I was like, oh, and then I, found out about Project Thorn that he heads up and all.
Dude, that's a powerful use of it, honestly. Like,
yeah, he gave $1 million to Ellen in Ripple back in the day to for her gorillas. But yeah, so anyway, we were talking on Father's Day, and then like it was a couple weeks later, I woke up to this birthday message from him, and it's not a cameo. It's not like sent by anyone else. It was from him, and it was like, I don't know, if I was a little bit intimate, but it's really nice of him. And then he texted me like later, like at 10 at night, like, "How was your birthday, man? Hope you had a good day." It's like,
dude,
yeah.
If you send him this video later, like if you send him a link to this, make sure to tell him that he's always had my absolute respect because of the collaboration with Family Guy.
Oh,
Did you guys ever see the dog bag?
He's married to Mila. So she's Meg.
Yeah, but I mean, like he did the dog bag cook roadkill on your engine block bag thing.
My cousin
I want to know. I want to know what it was with his relationship with McCain, because that back and forth was really odd when he was in front of the Senate there.
My cousin that was the one that has the chickens. She bought a stove for her car. Which I thought was a joke from like when Homer Simpson did it, and she cooks in her car, just like makes dinner on the seat. She's not homeless, but
crack open a couple Cadbury eggs over a convenience store donut.
It's pretty.
Can we go back to Joe's comment?
Yes,
I think Sean was trying to divert. I don't know what that meant. So
no,
it's all right. You can play the cameo. Do we have that to play or no?
It's not.
Or not the cameo.
It's not a cameo.
Saturday, kick back, relax, and celebrate your birthday. Happy birthday.
That's cool. I hope you did have a happy birthday too, Sean.
Yeah, it was a good birthday, man. It was really nice of him, but I was like, it's a little, I don't know, the lip bite thing threw me, I guess.
Yeah,
it's your birthday though.
Little
some spice on it, little cherry on top of the cake.
Yeah.
So I wanted to. This is just something I threw into the good old GNU image manipulation program, and made a little quote from one of my favorite songwriters, and I thought it was appropriate for today, talking about the pitfalls of celebrity shilling, because if you don't like something about what's happening on the celebrity stage, you have to understand that it's not in a vacuum. It's not happening in a vacuum. Everybody is a participant in the show, that we're going through. So I'll just read it. I cut out all the nasty words because, YouTube doesn't like us lately, apparently. So I'll try to be nicer. But he said, before you point your finger, you should know that I'm the man. I'm the man, and you're the man, and he's the man as well. So all you know about me is what I've sold you. I sold out long before you ever even heard my name. I sold my soul to make a record, and then you bought one. Right? So that's all. I wanted to read that because I like it a lot. And I think it illustrates that we're all in this together, even if you don't realize it, because if you don't participate, the show doesn't go on.
It's odd that you would have that quote.
Well, I mean, and there's a level of respect you got to have for celebrities for doing what they do, because they pursued a vision and they sold a lot of themselves to a brand in order to achieve it.
I don't know if that's what it is, though. I will tell you.
They sold something else. I watched this video this week. It's weird how all these things are like connected. But it was about over the past probably 20 years in interviews and all how many musicians literally said they sold their soul to the devil, and they were very serious. Mm-hmm. And this one, it was Bob Dylan, and this interview was 60 minutes. It's like, why do you work so hard? It's like, I have to. That was part of the deal. What deal? The deal.
Well, I mean, and if I had the board power to put things up on quotes up on display right now, there's an Aaron Swartz quote that is really on point for this from the Open Access Manifesto. Right? There's power in our words and in the people who deliver them, And right now, our licensing regimes keep that power for themselves. Like there's no place you can go to buy a cameo from somebody, for the most part, who is in current pop culture. But you can't go buy that because you have to know somebody. And that somebody is going to check to make sure that you're cool with the establishment before they let you have access.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, because
it's a gatekeeper.
That deal, I think, is pretty literal. I mean, everybody that I know that has ever been, gotten close to that level or anything else, and there are plenty of other interviews on it. That whether you think it's something more religious or more trafficking related, there's something there in almost all of them, because they don't get to be where they are or sell the number of records that they supposedly sell unless they make a deal and give something up for control, right? So, whether it's I'm not even going into some of that stuff because we'll get banned, but that's the point. Is it a deal with the devil or is it a deal with the devil? Yeah, exactly. The stuff that's
how I feel about every politician after the state level. There's no way you're there and you're clean.
Yeah, that's how they jump. Yeah, and the media, like you think about every single member of the media. There's a tweet from the CIA even that I responded to that was, I thought it was hilarious because it's like, we're all the people where's the these people and these people, like, and the journalists and the and the professors. It's like,
yeah, 3-letter agencies. We had a joke about it. It was a joke at the time because I was active duty and I was working with the people in the SCIF. It was called the Signal Exploitation Space or something like that. And so I would hang out there with them, and they're intelligence officers, so they talk about this, like how the sausage is made shit all the time that I'm not allowed to talk about still. But one of the things was like the idea of a 3-letter agency. They're like, FBI, CNN, CIA, NBC. They're all 3-letter agencies.
Yeah.
And this was back in
for MSNBC.
This was when I was still in, so it would have been like 2010 or something. But
Bill Gates had to get like a precursor word.
But people don't know how many 8-letter agencies there are. People think there's like 3 or 5. There's like 38.
There's some weird. When you get into sub agencies too, it gets extra weird.
Well, and if you look at like I just mentioned in the past couple of weeks, the EPA, the Food and Drug Administration, they bought tons of submachine guns, not machine guns, not guns, for like, say, maybe the Department of Agriculture wanted to put down, like an animal. These are little sub Mac 10 machine guns. No reason except to just spray people. Definitely weapons of war. So it's just very odd. One more thing I want to hit on about the food thing. I think it's going to be illegal, blah, blah, blah. But in the past week, I've seen 2 or 3 articles. One of them is from the Wall Street Journal about cannibalism. The Wall Street Journal said cannibalism. There is a time and place.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you guys also see, man, in the latest Jurassic Park, they had a lot of dinosaurs eating bugs. They were like preceding us.
I didn't. I have to go see it still. I haven't seen the latest one.
There's a lot of hinting that you should eat bugs in there.
I did see. There's the movies that made us, or the films that made us. I think it's on Netflix right now. They have got a really good Jurassic Park episode about the making of. For that.
I'm going to predict the meme that when they start pushing bugs, they're going to start by saying, "Look, you guys, you eat lobsters, you eat shrimp. What's the difference? They're just land bugs." They're going to push that.
This is because I believe that myself.
I don't eat those either.
I hope they don't, because that would suck, man.
Well, hey, I think we got a few questions today
but
we should get to.
Yeah, like a lobster. Lobster used to. That's a good point, Joe. Lobster used to be trash food. It was like for poor people because everybody knew what it was.
It was like a Bernays quality. Let's get bacon for breakfast and pancakes for breakfast.
I had a colleague whose dad was a cop, and he specifically wouldn't eat crabs because he said that when they would pull the bodies out, dead body, that they was crawling with crabs, right? And it's just, you have to think about that.
Weird.
Okay, sorry. Last thing with crabs, and then we can move on. I promise.
Okay.
we joked once at a little get together where Austin and I were talking about the great filter, the idea behind Fermi's paradox, and that it's possible that human beings are a construct that is the great filter for the ascendancy of crabs.
Nice.
One more thing on crabs. Has anyone seen The Last American Virgin? From I'm old, so
I have not.
Oh man, every time anyone says crabs, I think about that movie.
Oh geez. Okay.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, hilarious. Now that we've punctuated with that, thank you, Sean. Let's get on to. So we have a few questions today that are specific, and we should get to. And the first one is by Jacob Wayne, who asks, "Do you think celebrity shilling will fizzle out because of morality issues or legal issues?" And that's an interesting way to put it. I don't know about them personally, the morality question, but the legal issues is interesting to me because, I think that is a pitfall for the celebrity. Because, what happens when, an agency comes after a project for being too innovative and too disruptive, and it's something that you have been promoting, and a lot of your career maybe is your image. So, is it a minefield legally? Is it a minefield for celebrities? Is it, I
think it's
that's my comment to my follow-up question for that question.
I think it's going to democratize. I think we're going to see more and more and more of it until everyone has access to it.
I agree with Greg. I think it's going to explode. On the crypto meme review, I had a meme that wasn't necessarily for crypto, but it was an actual advertisement that was anti-electricity. Back when electricity was, they're starting to try to put it in homes, it was this giant spider monster. That was its thorax was a light bulb, and the electricity wires were its legs, and there's just horror. These people are dying, it's like this horrific picture, and it's the most ignorant thing you could ever see. So I think we have to realize we're in that stage now. So I think the only way it's going to fizzle is if crypto fizzles, and crypto is going to get bigger and bigger. More and more people are getting educated about it. I think people will make smarter decisions. It's just not going to be like, hey, here's $1 million to go and shill this, and they'll be like, yeah. They'll be like, hold on, who's the team? What's going? They're going to do that research now.
Due diligence kind of thing.
So I think it's.
You really think so?
What about deep fakes though? Because
real quick before you get into deep fakes, I think something should be said about. I think something should be said about legality versus morality versus, I guess maybe reality. That the fact that it matters if a celebrity shills something is the issue. Because if Leonardo DiCaprio comes out and shills some coin instead of an exchange, if it makes for a good commercial, he's an actor, okay, but why do I give a shit if this person shills it? Right?
Well, I think I can maybe tell you one reason, and it's something that I didn't really think about too much until I was talking to a friend of mine about. I was complaining to a friend of mine about the USA. Our great nation that I defended for a decade, to come home and be told you can't do that here. Basically, it's how I feel. And and I was talking to this person about how a lot of the things that you see on the internet and on the TV about cryptocurrency, about blockchain, it's bullshit. All of it's just like the experts aren't experts. Nobody knows what they're talking about yet, but it's being sold to people as if it's truth, and people are believing it, and they're spreading the word and saying, oh, here's what it is. And people think they know what it is and stuff like that. And she said, well, why don't you, because I was talking about specific things that could be proven wrong. And she was like, well, why don't you publish that? Or you have the internet, you can get the word out there and say, no, here's the real data. Here's the real story. And I was like, you would think, right? You would think that with the easy distribution methods that we have today, that there would be an easy way for actual factual researched, good studies to be counter to what the narrative is in whatever industry. But the reality is, no, that's not how it works anymore. You need some sort of, there's an artificially created environment where you need some sort of whether it's a celebrity or whether it's, a bunch of people like sharing your tweet whenever the algorithm's fighting against you, that kind of thing, an army or a celebrity. Otherwise, you can't just publish something and expect like, oh no, it's here and people can find it and have easy access to it. It's not behind a paywall. It's not behind, that kind of thing. So yeah, I think that's one of the useful things about celebrities willing to do this. Go ahead, Lisa. I'm sorry, I was talking over you.
I don't know if you guys can hear me. I think there's also no, I was talking over you. I'm sorry. I don't know if you guys.
Yeah, we can hear you. It's fine.
And we don't have, the volume and all that. And so I think that as adoption happens, but I think those celebrities still bring in a lot of people. I think it's still going to be part of that. So, anyway.
Totally agree.
I think that it matters a lot for the time and the space that we're in right now.
Right.
Yeah, we talked about.
And we're watching who the good guys are,
in the
right?
show, and literally, this is a symptom of that censorship.
Can I say though?
Around that, like Dave said, you have to use some kind of celebrity.
Here's the thing, though, and yet again, it's the purpose. Because if you ask me, just like I said before, Luna and Celsius and all the rest of the 3 arrows, all that crap, it matters why they're coming in. If you're getting adoption solely for a bullshit pump and dump, if it's solely for number go up, it is better, in my opinion, to not have that adoption, because literally it's going to bite you in the ass. Right. Well, it's going to delay the actual adoption that we want to see. If you're here for number go up, fine, admit it, whatever else. But if you're here to actually say, oh, we have these problems with the real world that this technology can solve, and you aren't bringing those people in for those reasons, like say, if you get, and here's the thing, I will say, okay, I'm on board with Celebrity Shilling when I see some A-list actor coming on and saying, you know what, you guys need to buy Monero because of this, this, and this. I can see what's coming too, right? Is that going to happen? Not very likely, right? If it happens, they're not going to be paid for it.
That's a real philosophical debate.
It'll happen.
That's a legitimate.
If you go on YouTube and search for tutorials to do deepfakes, avatar streaming profiles, and hook up with a company that does realistic voice emulation. Like you could actually this is the thing, like,
but that's also going to get taken down, Greg. If it's the reason it's not the real actor, and you're saying something that is legitimate, or is it about liberty? That's not going to last on the internet.
Exactly.
Today.
It's going to lose
Joe, I think that
just like every other marketing.
If someone comes in for number go up and they get screwed, and they're like, "This crypto sucks because I got screwed," then they're in the community. And they can be told by someone, no, you came into it for the wrong reason. Here's what it can really do. But that conversation wouldn't have happened.
Right.
Or
that's ridiculous. When they're most pissed off at this tech, they're not going to listen to
someone that came back into crypto.
No, and here's the thing. Look, somebody who got screwed by Celsius, lost their life savings in Celsius, knows that they were told that the banks hate them. And the very people that told them that the banks hate them have now screwed them for their life savings. Do you think they're going to be open to, oh, it's about liberty? I didn't realize.
They were also told all day long.
I think that those people were useful.
They were not told that by Celsius, Sean. Literally, we had him on. They were not told that by them. And if that's where they had their money, that's all they know. They're not going to be open to no matter whose friend you are, Sean. They're not going to be open to saying, oh, I guess I was in it for the wrong reasons. Sorry, Mom. Sorry, Dad. I lost everything.
But that's the part of crypto that's the truth. It's like you're on your own. That's your sovereignty. You messed up. Space didn't mess up. Crypto didn't mess up. You messed up, dude.
That's the hardest thing in the world for people to admit, that it was their lack of due diligence or their mistake that they made.
And anybody who especially gets into something that's financialization, you will not make wealth by financialization. How many times does the world have to repeat that message to you with economic declines? You can't make money from money by just manipulating money and have it be real money. It just doesn't work. Like that is the end of the road there. And we keep seeing projects fail that trip over financialization for its own sake.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. If you're going to use if you're going to use any celebrity to bring in adoption, my prediction is that it is 90% going to be bullshit shilling that's going to hurt people, that is going to, in essence, hurt our industry in the short term. Very definitely.
But it's a tool.
And we've already seen it.
But it's still just a tool. If a DAO could get control of it for good.
Yeah, but I think that's the point.
Towards good projects.
It's obviously a tool, but the problem is our entire industry is fucked in the head and not even looking at the real purpose of the technology. That when somebody shills, it's like, awesome, number go up. Bitcoin went up because some celebrity shilled some other crypto, or some exchange.
If you try to think of it as a purchasable commodity, people's attention at scale, then you're really more on to what people think about this that use it effectively are thinking.
Well, that's what Web 2 is all about, right? People's attention at scale.
Well, people's attention at scale without their knowledge. Would be the modifier, but I don't think.
I think it's like the .com boom.
To solve the problem.
It's something it's going to happen, but it's going to bring people in. You know, it was ridiculous. Remember AOL? Those AOL CDs were everywhere.
Yeah, it is.
I went to the grocery store, you picked up a magazine, like 5 of them would fall out. They were everywhere.
Oh yeah, no.
And I always got the update. Yeah,
ubiquitous.
It brought people in, and people that were like, "I'm never going to have one of these computer thingies," you know. And people went out and bought this weird sci-fi technology that literally,
Sean,
they were frightened of.
But Sean, you're still talking and even in the case, in probably the worst example being AOL for the internet, that it still brought people in for the right reasons. It wasn't, hey, make a buck. It wasn't, hey, number go up. It was literally, hey, here's some information. That is what the internet is that literally still, even though it was probably the beginning of Web,
lost money in the
.com
boom. Look at it that way.
True.
That was
Pets.com seems like a valid idea.
But there were still people using it during the .com boom. That's the thing.
And the purpose of
much
buying
that people lost. And then but then people had to step back and say,
"Yeah,
well, what the hell?"
And not every celebrity shill does it for number go up. I mean, look at Paris Hilton, look at Melania Trump shilling NFTs for foster kids with art. That's not a number go up.
It's not.
So you can't say that it's shilling for number go up.
Lisa, that's kind of what I was saying earlier.
Is the number go up dynamic for good.
It's not always like the celebrity shilling thing is not always necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
I
think the thing we can
move on to another question, guys. And I think it's a really important point. All marketing ploys have a shelf life, and the reason that this is such a celebrity shilling is such a jealously guarded thing is because it's one of the few that hasn't been oversold and has consistent power. The second it has broad access, it will lose its power. It will read the same way a bad text ad does on Google. Where people learn to avert their eyes and plug their ears. This is a temporary phenomenon, so long as they can maintain gated access. Gated access goes away, this thing ultimately dies in white noise.
Exactly. I think it's a necessary evil because of all the stuff we talked about earlier with censorship. Look what Trump did. Trump literally had the media wouldn't talk about stuff about Kanye West. Kanye West was at the White House, and that's what they talked about. You know what I mean? He used celebrities as many as he could, and then that's what would get part of the message out. Look at prison reform. That bubble butt got taken care of. You know, that's insane that Kim Kardashian, the most vaporware of humans, was able.
She's actually got some legit.
I was going to say, do you guys?
Okay,
celebrity shilling.
Prison reform done.
Celebrity shilling happens on mainstream media and every other industry. Why do you think it would go away in crypto?
Politicians.
I wouldn't think it would go away. I think it's just more dangerous in crypto because here's the thing: in regular industry, what do we typically have? And I think speaking of the gated access, I think that celebrities are so willing to shill for environmental causes and typically left-wing causes that most people tend to ignore movie stars, and most movies. I mean, the entire movie industry is crashing because everybody knows the whole thing is BS, and they're essentially constantly preaching to us. It's like I remember going into Disney even when I worked for them, and realized like we went through this one place where it was essentially all of the Disney characters proselytizing environmental change to my kids. And it's like, I'm paying you guys to preach to my kids about stuff that is ridiculous. And it's, sponsored by Nestle of all places, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
when Steve Jobs
God's name is this about?
That's who's pumping all of our water out of the ground from the aquifer here in Florida where I live. It's there's signs everywhere like, please stop Nestle. Can Nestle stop taking our water and selling it somewhere else? Like, we need our water here. Meanwhile, you've got sinkholes caving in, people's houses falling through the earth because now there's like a void where there used to be water pressure in the ground, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Joe,
hey, let's go to the next question because it's very similar, and we can continue the same conversation with it.
Put a pin in this question, Joe. Did you happen to know anything about Ed Catmull when he was still at Disney? And the Me Tooing of him was very effective at removing a voice for sort of the old morals Disney used to teach.
No,
there's a tinfoil hat thing there to be explored.
Everything is intentional there. There are no accidents inside all of those things that happen.
Also, Dave, land is still ridiculously expensive in Florida.
What is?
Land. I've been looking
land.
For a while,
it's not. It's gone up. It has gone up a lot, but you got to go look in North Florida, and you'll change your mind.
I have been, man. But okay.
Yeah. Well, I'll send you some links. I'll send you some dope properties.
25,000
because I've been looking
for a tenth of an acre. That's
dude, realtor you can trust.
Well, yeah, don't buy it in a suburb neighborhood, sure.
No, that's like swampland, man.
No, all right. We must be looking at different Floridas.
Yeah.
You must be trying to buy it back from Gates. He's keeping it, man. Don't try to buy his. So, hey, next question from I Am. Do you agree that a project might benefit from Celebs shilling, but the Celeb has the most to lose? For example, tax implications, project going bust, or unknowingly shilling a scam project. And I think that's a good point. I think that the celebrity does have the most to lose, and that's why you have to pay them to promote your product. Because
but I think it's always been that way.
The risk is with them.
Because before, like in the old black and white days, that was the commercial. Hey, I'm this actor you like, and I'm putting my name on this because I believe in it. I smoke these every day. I have my kids smoke them. These are damn good cigarettes. That's what ads were. Ads weren't about the project. They're product.
I can't be a man because he doesn't smoke the same cigarettes as me.
Well, I think this one to me on this question, celebrities are a person who may get involved with a project, right? But they're not necessarily going to have that stick to them. And I think that's a good thing. I think part of the vision of crypto is similar to the vision of the bankruptcy court. You fuck up, you pay back what you can, and you go again. That's life, right? And we right now have a system set up where it's very, very easy to socially ostracize people's second chance away. When in reality, the benefit of society is best achieved when we give individuals blank slates as many times as they need until they get it right. Yeah. And I think that's part of the crypto vision myself.
Cool.
Anything else?
I would say, I think
celebrity.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is probably true. Celebrities probably have the highest risk. And speaking of the scam projects, there's a legal risk, let alone reputation risk, and so on. But oftentimes, in my opinion, it's only going to be something that the powers that be have approved. They're not going to be shilling stuff, or at least they might have some celebrities that would shill things just literally for the dollar, but typically it's going to be because it fits some vision.
Right. When you first read this. We all say that, but then when you take a step back, they don't have the most to lose. I mean, if it's a scam, there are idiot celebrities who talked about a scam, but the people that perpetrated it, they're probably going to go to prison.
Maybe
they'll just get in trouble, get fined. So maybe they're not supposed to lose, but they do have a lot to lose.
Let's assume that it's a legitimate something that is not illegal. Okay, maybe it's not legitimate, but it's not illegal either, right?
Right. Well,
the reason that a company or a project or something would pay anything is because they're receiving value for it, right? And the celebrity isn't receiving any value except for what you're paying them, and potentially membership in a club or association with something that they want to be associated with, or that maybe they think they want to be associated with that might change later, right? And the risk there is latching on to something that becomes bad for you, and then maybe that money that you got is worth, is kind of a thorn in your side, and it's not worth that. You didn't know it was going to be all this.
Well, and that's
but really, who
bad
gets
actors out there, right? But like, it's a lot of reckless enthusiasm, and I don't know if we really want to criminalize that.
Right? Yeah. There's a lot of innovation in that too. There can be, at least. But the third party that I haven't thought about until you said that, Sean, is that just what you said, the people that might buy this because of what both the project and the celebrity said, maybe with the best intentions. But if you're running something like, if you're running something that's designed specifically to run on hype and celebrities, it's going to end bad for the people who convinced to invest. I watched, I don't know if it was CNBC or if it was CBS or it was some business show, and they had given the quote unquote CEO of Scamcoin a bunch of airtime to talk about, hey, why should people tell their grandmas to go invest in it was like Elon Gate or something. And he's like, well, there's a lot of utility, and we're building a big fake rocket, and we're going to wheel it down
Charles Payne,
to the
right?
space thing, and we're going to say, hey, Elon, say something about us. And then he's going to do that, probably, maybe, I don't know, and then the number will go up. But then they don't talk about what happens when the number goes up, which is that, oh, cool, goal achieved, let's take it and run, and everybody's left out to dry with no liquidity and no money left, including the grandma that the three-letter agency just shilled for you on the television. So that's the right. And that's seen as legitimate enough to get on like this legacy TV show, business investment show.
Goldman Sachs is just another pump and dump when it really comes down to it. If you look who's promoting it, it's an authority promoting it. They've actually literally been propped up once by everybody being forced to bail them out.
Yeah. Well, I read something else that's probably similar to that made me think a lot, which was that monopolies can only exist with government assistance. If you truly let a free market run amok, you can't have monopolies.
Government is a monopoly in the limit, right? It is the ultimate monopoly.
Yeah.
Cool. So, anyway, those are my thoughts.
Yeah. It's just to connect it back to the celeb part, though, I do think that that there's some stick that comes from being associated with a bad project, but I think people are way more quick to forgive it than a lot of people who are especially powerful end up in arms about it are comfortable with.
I would hope so, because I do sympathize a lot of times with celebrities that want to get involved with something new and exciting, and I'm sure there might even be a couple of politicians out there that accidentally get involved with things on the wrong side of on the tech curve.
And also, those people have gatekeepers as well. It's like, hey,
telling them, here's what this is.
That's bad for your career.
That's an excellent point, Sean, because I just read something from who was it? It was a gaming company. It was Mojang, Minecraft people, talking about what an NFT is, educating their community about what an NFT is and why they will never support blockchain because of how terrible it is, right? And you know what? That comes from somebody selling themselves as an expert, probably charging them money for this consultation
and
to tell them what this crap is. Because they're going to say, what is this? What is everybody up in arms about? And then, oh, here's what it is. Here's what it is. And then, oh, here's what it is. And then next thing you know, everyone thinks they know what it is.
It's like, everyone thinks they're knowledgeable. Fire hose,
so they tell their friends.
Your brain.
Can I say real quick though? I mean, it is Mojang, and it is owned by Microsoft, and that's the powers that be coming down and saying, here are the parameters. You're not gonna accept them, and you're gonna say this about it.
Right. The only valid kind of authority is proof of authority.
Yeah, I mean, it's and they might have somebody who I guess gave them some defensibility at the board level or something like that.
Maybe.
But it's just, I mean, that's literally, that's all the Microsoft stuff. That's the powers that be. So
they just want how much proof of authority networks only
on Tuesday. And I said that if someone comes up to you and says, "Hey man, can I have some of your money? I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it in my pocket and then I'm going to go buy stuff I want and have fun with that." Okay. And then they give you the money and then they say, "Hey, he scammed me out of my money." No. If there's real transparency and they go on TV and say, "We're going to do this and maybe this will happen, could happen, whatever." That's it. I mean, it's not a scam. You're an idiot if you put money into it, but it's not a scam.
This was a scam because the person was literally trying to define the word utility in a way that made it seem like they have some utility. You know what I mean?
See, but that's a gray area. If they're transparent about the utility, if the utility is, I'm going to take your money and enjoy myself, that's utility to them.
And by the way,
it's like the South Park Washington Redskins.
By the way, none of what I would support would necessitate or even be ideally handled by the central government laying out regulations, because they're obviously not the ones to do that. They're not the ones that know how to do that.
Use a postal metaphor from 1876 and we'll be fucked.
Yeah, and it's the entire issue is that our industry itself needs to, up front, we need to tell people if it's not, how many people said negative things about what was going on with some of these central entities that were making themselves out to be DeFi, right? It's like, oh, it's DeFi because you can earn interest rates that banks will never give you, right? And yet the industry, all of the exchanges listed the stuff. All of the Coin Market Cap, CoinGecko, they list the stuff. They didn't. It's like, no problems. It's making money. Look at the cap. Right. Look at the cap on it. It's huge market cap.
But the basis for trust in DeFi, right, is built on two things. One, you can trust what's in the ledger, and two, you can read the smart contract and see what it does.
Yeah.
If you can't do that, then you're not looking at a project that you can trust without.
Any project that literally says we're trying to get people to keep their coins in our central facility. Right. Any project that does that is obviously an issue, right? And the problem is
centralization and censorship. If you look at the chat, I just want to say this on camera.
Yeah. Like it's blockchain. You all the revolutionary stuff.
R15 and Phil. We all are watching this stream, and it's telling each of us that there's only one person watching.
Yeah. And what's funny is that's across Twitter, YouTube, library, what else? LinkedIn. In fact, 2 Twitter accounts. And you think about it, it's like, and Twitch, right? So, okay, 2 people.
I haven't thought of this in a couple of years, but as soon as you said that, Sean, we're talking about, shadow banning or censorship or manipulation of people's opinions, basically. And I remember, I forget who it was. They asked me to look up something on YouTube, and I was like, all right, let me look it up. And it wasn't clear which video was like one that was a good explanation of the thing. And so there's a bunch of options, and they were like, just whichever one has all the views, that's the one. Like that was the criteria of truth, was whichever one had all the views was the one to listen to, because that's the one everybody's looking at.
Something like for like a trailer, or like you don't want to click on it and then, oh man, it's just not. This is just
that's crazy.
Not the real thing. I want the legitimate. I want to listen to this song. I want to see this video from '87. You know what I mean? And you look at this one has 7 million hits. This one has 100,000. This one is probably just a picture with the song. This is the actual official video. If it doesn't say official video. You know what I mean?
There are people watching this in the comments, right?
Well, no, that was Sean's whole point. Was like,
it's fucking crazy. It's showing 0 for me too. It's actually showing me 0 viewers.
Well, it could have been whatever happened last week. Like, we for the first time we counted up the views to hand out a lot, and that was the first time that it had just basically artificially dropped.
Yeah, I'd like to know where the views dropped, or if it was simultaneous, because Twitter is, I think, where we would get the most views, because we have the biggest account on Twitter.
Up in at least I've seen it go as high as 2,000 before.
Yeah.
having it be 0 when there are people clearly in the comments watching.
Yeah,
like we should almost I wish there was a way we put up that on the screenshot or on the share so people can screenshot this. Like seriously, let's put up a showing of this so that anybody who's actually watching this can screenshot it and prove it to be manipulation.
Sure. Yeah. Y'all take a screenshot if you want.
You might need it for that class.
Yeah, it's another Michael Hale. So you could literally just take a screenshot where it says one person watching, which is you, and then you've got like 5 or 6 people over here saying, "Yeah."
That you're speaking to who are engaged in the same conversation, right? So it's weird, yeah.
Right.
And
man.
We should do
the next question because I have some answers for it before we.
Sure, yeah. This one I was a little bit scared of. I was like, oh, okay, let's see how this goes. So one of my favorite memes. I'm not saying it's a scam, but it's a scam. If you ever watch Ancient Aliens, it's one of my favorite shows on the History Channel, by the way, which I love that's a History Channel program.
History Channel. It's ancient.
Yeah. As ancient alien theorists believe or summarize or predict or whatever they say. Anyway, so the question is from Josh O. And Josh O asks, in your opinion, who sticks out to you as Shilling the worst project? And it doesn't have to be necessarily well, I guess it does. So yeah, who sticks out as Shilling the worst project?
So, unless you guys want to go first, I have an answer because I was like, oh, that's a good question, right? And I'm twisting the question a little bit, to get this answer, but not necessarily the worst project because there were too many of them that you'd have to somehow rank them. But I'm thinking the worst Shilling. Okay, something. Okay, who has done the worst amount of Shilling? So
not necessarily the worst project, but the worst Shilling of any project.
So not necessarily the worst Shilling because I don't remember entirely, and I didn't watch. I was pretty busy at this time, but DJ Khaled and Mayweather both were charged with issues. Speaking to the prior question, right? That they actually got charged by the SEC. I don't know if they were fined. I don't know what happened.
You were fined.
Okay. The next would be, if you remember McAfee, there was just a machine. What is it?
Who's singing?
There's something going on with some noise.
Music.
Anyway, that if you remember all the stuff where McAfee, you would give him a certain portion of your token, supposedly.
Oh, yeah.
And he would shill it. And basically, he would take those tokens, be ready to dump them. They might buy in some more. I don't know what they did. And then essentially, he would make money on both sides of the whole thing. And it went on and on and on. And then I think that other entities in the U.S. government basically took precedence on his way to being supposedly killed. And then probably, though I think my top one would be Hinman and Gensler at the SEC with Ethereum. Because essentially,
true.
And if you don't think, just like what happened in Asia during the, I would say the ICO boom, that every time that they would ban and then unban Bitcoin, that that several high-ranking members of the Chinese Communist Party was buying in and dumping along with those announcements. And same with the central bank in England. Same thing happened with banning. And I think that's what that was. When Hinman gave that speech, it was a huge boon to Ethereum. It's like, oh, Ethereum's included with Bitcoin. Those are not securities. We can safely trade those. And now what's coming out is you're seeing that the very guy who made that statement and acted as if it was an official statement was making $15 million at the time from his law firm that was also in cahoots with Consensus and the Enterprise Ethereum project, which, full disclosure, Dragon Chain was a part of for a time. It's a crazy thing, but literally you have someone at the SEC who, no matter how, if you want to objectively look at it, literally shilled, maybe not a celebrity, but literally shilled Ethereum. It's crazy. Anyway.
That goes along with my original point, though. McAfee would say, I'll shill your project. I will go ahead and I'll tweet it for $100,000. $100,000, I'll tweet it, whatever it is.
He was super open about it too.
Yeah,
like he was like, I mean, I'll do it, and I'm going to sell it, and like if you know that's what I'm doing, that's
tweet.
Right. But he was also joking because openly paying for that shill, right, is also taking away its power.
Yeah, it's taking away its power. Like, well, you can go to Yahoo, and you can go to Coin whatever. I don't know why I forgot. But you can see it'll say in the article, sponsored article. That's it. It's not legitimate.
You can go to even a lot of the current like BitBoy's website or whatever, and it shows like his fees or whatever. A lot of them have their fees posted on their website.
Yeah. So
and there was one group that there's a lot of them that have private price schedules,
promoters or whatever, their handlers.
Yeah. If it's transparent, also it loses so much power. So, I mean, if you're reading an article, you're like, oh my God, this is shocking. And then you look up and it's like, you see that little sponsored article. You can pay $1,300, pay Yahoo Finance, Yahoo News, $1,300, and they will write your article for you.
Right. But if your thing is garbage, then nobody will pay attention to it still, basically.
Or you also can be paid to promote something that you believe in. Like, I take C60 and my whole family takes it, and it kept my mother's, 18-year-old dog with like only half a kidney alive for 3 years past the vet believed it would, but I make a little, referral fee or commissions off of that when somebody uses my link. So there can be both sides of it. You can, and that was the other thing. Like my husband sold cars for 35 years. And when I got into crypto and I started hearing this shilling word and everybody's like, oh, shill. And I was like, so does he shill Subarus? Like what is this negative term to selling a product you believe in?
Because when you're buying a car to drive it. When you're buying token X because it's being shielded by somebody that he's shielded, maybe he has to have done his due diligence, and I'm just going to assume that's correct. It's because of number go up.
There was a shield market in used cars for a while there, though. They were going up in value.
Well, it would be like now I was in the car business, so I think shilling, Lisa, would be akin to like selling cars or pieces of crap. We would buy, a car that was okay. We would take it down to the car wash. We would wash the engine out, everything. And then we would buy this Verathane clear coat, probably terrible for it. We would spray the engine, all the hoses, everything was like bright and shiny. We would do all these little tricks, and then it looked like a brand new car. And the engine was
marketing.
More like
that's what marketing does in crypto.
Oh man, this is like this person took care of this car. Yeah, they did, man. Look at that. Look at how clean everything is.
I feel like the shilling problem, or the people that have the most problem with shills, are people that believe that everybody can be manipulated, Pavlovian style, to do whatever the ads tell them to do. If you're more inclined to believe that, then you're more inclined to think shilling is a negative. If you're less inclined to believe that human beings are that manipulable, then you don't have as much problem with marketing as a brand. Marketing as a brand of communication.
Greg, I would disagree because I don't think it's about me wanting to protect those people. I agree with you on that. I think people are responsible if they fall for a bad shill, right? What I see it as is bullshit spam. That if I'm posting something legitimate and it comes with all this spam after it, that people tend to associate my stuff, my real comment on Twitter with that spam. There's a potential that people will be tricked, because a lot of
it's the white noise in which all marketing dies, right? But
so anyway, that's it's just spam.
To me, the worst shills are the establishment shills, right? Like you have Scott Galloway telling people to put on tie on the internet, talking shit on Elon Musk, and telling everybody that cryptocurrency will not ever replace fiat money because the institutions will simply not allow it, and all of these people are head in the clouds, young idiots. Or you've got people like Paul Krugman who refuse to acknowledge that increasing the monetary supply will damage the US dollar because he's shilling for the brand, right? And all of these people are, if you see it like transitory inflation. Anybody who ever said that? Shilling for the U.S. dollar. All of those motherfuckers.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to open it up to that, look at what I saw today was for the first time. I didn't know that this had even happened. But if you go to house.gov, they're shilling for Twitter. I went over there to look up something about Nancy Pelosi going to start a war with China or something. I don't know what it was about, but I wanted to go to the source. You know what I mean? Because I don't like just reading things on Twitter and saying, "Oh, that's it." So here I go to the source. I go to house.gov. I look at her landing page on house.gov, and where does it direct me? To Twitter. It says a big thing. It's like Twitter, and it has like her latest posts.
They need to put a little sticker like the Joe
directing
Biden.
you away.
Put a little Trump sticker there. I did that.
Too bad she didn't accidentally link you to the government accountability portal where they can actually go on. And this is a real place where you can go and log in if you're an authorized user and directly report as a government official speech you don't like.
And maybe it was completely innocent. I don't know. But it was weird to me because it was like, no, I just left Twitter so I could see the official government. Like, I'm sure that there's a calendar. Like, okay, what's she really doing? Or what's she supposed to be really doing on the official page?
Her statement was that she didn't want to report her calendar because it would endanger her.
Okay.
She didn't want people to know what she was doing.
Then don't hold public office. Don't serve your country.
It would endanger her because people would see who she's meeting.
Yeah.
I watched the movie. We watched the movie Gray Man last night for family night.
POTUS has a schedule up. Come on.
It was towards the end of the
movie. They should all have calendars on. During the
movie, whenever they would go somewhere, it would come up whatever country they were at on the screen. Everybody's making a joke about it. And the end, it said Washington, D.C., and it showed this building. And I said, one of my kids was in the bathroom. I was like, now it says Washington, D.C., so we know they're in Washington, D.C. And I looked at the screen, and there were so many military on the street. And I was like, it's Washington, D.C. in the United States because there's this militarized police force all around the place. It was so depressing that they went to all these different countries, and then when they went to ours, our politicians were surrounded by armed forces to protect them from their own people. And that hurt.
Yeah, even in, I watched a lot of what happened over in, this is back to current events, I guess, at the end of the show here, because we are at time. But we did get through the questions as well, which is good.
I wanted to hit one thing on the Shilling. Myself is that it's kind of like me and Lisa were talking about this. It's when you don't even need to really discipline your kids, or if you do, it goes along with what they did. It's like, hey, you did this, so now your punishment is this. You snuck out your window, now your window gets locked. Something like that. I told her I would lock the window, nail it shut, and then like something like a trash can on fire. Like, oh no, the house on fire! We gotta go out the window. Oh, your window's locked. We're all gonna die. But that would, that's why my kids say they're scarred for life. But what I've noticed is that most celebrities, what they've shilled the most recently has been their own shit, their own NFTs, their own little projects, and then they've been abandoned. They're literally like kids. It's like, oh man, I want to learn to play guitar. Dad, buy me a guitar. I want this guitar. It's really good. I want it. And then 2 weeks later, like, I don't care about guitar. So that's how these celebrity shills are with their own NFTs, and people are kind of pissed about it because this project you're supposed to do this later, and I was supposed to be able to do this when I get the record. I was supposed to get bonus stuff or discounts on concerts, all this, and they're like, no, we're not really doing anything with that anymore. I made a couple million or whatever, and that's it. So,
now that's not everyone, but you do see it.
But
it is a lot of people.
It's been a lot.
It is a lot of people,
especially in music industry.
But they only get to do that once.
I will say, as a good outside reading material for the show, it would be to go and watch a few of the CoffeeZilla videos on celebrity shills, because he sums it up on a lot of them. Calls out the bad ones for sure. I don't know if there are any good ones, but he has even pointed to the DiCaprio thing with it wasn't DiCaprio, it was Damon, right? Matt Damon, I think.
I thought he did. Honestly, I still like it.
Yeah, I don't remember.
That's a really good point, because he has gotten serious blowback from that man.
Yeah, from people
who are like
NFTs
making memes and making fun of him.
Yeah.
And I mean, crypto.com, they're Celsius light or Celsius heavier. I mean, you could. I
don't know.
Well, Sean, I've watched your show, and Lisa, I've watched yours, and I've seen. Obviously, I've seen you promote things on your show that you were paid to promote, but I've never seen anything where I'm like, oh, that's an obvious. Like, I would listen to you before I would listen to some other people who I've seen promote obvious bad things, scammy shit.
Or,
you know what I mean?
I really care about my community, and I'm really careful about, like, I think there's very few things that I promote. I'm a part of it myself. Well, I'm always either a part of it myself, and I've looked into it. I've turned down more things than I've ever promoted. I'm just really careful about it because I do care so much about my community and the people that follow me. And I care about my own reputation. Like you guys were talking about, like, not just the legal thing, but like, you know, I want my voice to matter, and I want my reputation to be able to carry forward, because I want to be able to do shit in this space in the future, especially with the charity work that I did in the past. And that's always going to be something that's important to me. And I want to be able to help more people in the future. That's just a big part of who I am and what I want to do. And so I'm always going to be really careful. And it doesn't mean I haven't made mistakes myself in the past. You know, I'm in a lawsuit right now with some guys that are in the crypto community that took advantage of me, my mother, and one of my good friends. And so that stuff happens to everybody, you know.
Exactly. And trying to make a change in the world does take risk, right? Like you have to actually put yourself in an exposed position to make any meaningful impact whatsoever. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It just means you should have courage when you decide to.
Right? And it also means people should support those people that do it.
If you're going to talk, like I mean, to be completely honest, it depends on how much money I have as to whether or not I'll turn something down. I have turned stuff down a lot, all the time. But if it's a lean month or a bear market, I will take something that I think is a scam, but then I'll call it a scam, and that will be very pissed off, and to where the point where, like, sometimes they only want to give you half up front, and that's all you get, because you'll go through it and you're like, well, you know, the team, it says that they're here, but then they're registered here. I looked this up, and this is a PO box. This isn't a real address. These are red flags. You know, if you're honest, you know, this is a paid endorsement. You know, it's not endorsement. Right. This is a paid review. I agreed to review it. This is the review. And then you're just upfront about it. And you're like, I don't like this. This is a cool idea, but I don't trust this.
And I think that's honorable.
Yeah, I will shill anything for free, but the cost is you have to convince me to believe in it.
Yeah. Now there's stuff that, you know, like you said, this is not paid endorsement or anything like that, but I put money into it. That's even a bigger thing. Like ColdDAO. ColdDAO, I think, is really, really cool. I want to interview that.
They're actually a good point to raise here. They're the other side of the coin, right? The reason that they're having a harder time breaking through than they ought is because people are so wary of scams, right?
Well, if we
didn't have as much bullshit, it would be a lot easier to see the clearly decent, solidity of their, solidity stack, right? Up through the smart contract all the way to the thing that you do with it is, it's airtight. You can't manipulate it with people. So,
well, ColdDAO has definitely painted itself in a particular light that is going to be distasteful to some people. So
people
they can't
fucking hate it, man. They donated to Anonymous.
That said, I don't have any cult, but I did grab some Revolt, and I like what they're doing over there. I think it's interesting. The people are interesting. I think their heads and their hearts in the right places. But I could be wrong because I haven't done my due diligence on it.
I just have time to even look at it. So I'm interested because I hear a lot of info about it from the right people, but I've not had time.
Just read the manifesto. Ignore the number go up stuff. The number is going up, and you'll see why once you get to the point where you care about that. But
it was interesting enough for me to throw whatever leftover Matic I had in some wallet. It was like $70 or something. I'm like, all right, I'll grab some Revolt because that's interesting at least. But I haven't even gone into it. We've interviewed somebody or had somebody on this show from that's in ColdDAO. You obviously are in that cult, and we've had you talking about it here. So it's been enough, talk about celebrity shilling or shilling in general. Like this show, we've talked about ColdDAO probably 3 different episodes. It's come up, and that's gotten me to go look at it and buy something. You know what I mean? Just because the because I appreciate your brains and how you think, and because I feel like I know that you're at least not going to screw me on purpose. You know, it made me willing to go look at it. Whereas if it was somebody else that was doing the same thing, I might not have.
Oh my God! I need to make a point.
Oh boy!
Go ahead.
Okay. So the most money I made last year was from celebrities, because of celebrity endorsements. I made a shitload of money. It's all gone now. But so here's what happened. I did a review for this project called Seek, right? And this is, right before and during the Rona and all. And it was about taking concerts and events into like virtual reality, but more augmented. There's people with the headsets and filming everything, and you could literally navigate the concert and go to different places and see different things. It was a cool idea. But they had the names, people that had signed on, that really, really big names, Lady Gaga and some other, because these celebrities have signed on to this, I know this platform will do well at what it's going to do.
Right.
Or it'll at least be a flash in the pot.
It was an entertainment project, and it had big name entertainers. So I'm like, okay, it's not like they have an uphill battle where they're trying to get people to come on and use this to go watch Gordon Lightfoot. Who's Gordon Lightfoot? So they had people that were going to gravitate there.
So it went up, right? But you're saying, did they actually make this a reality?
Yeah, that's the thing. They also had hardware that they built for it. It looked like a good project, but the reason that I put anything into it versus just a small amount was because of the celebrities, but also that was a celebrity driven project, so that's a little bit different. They were
celebrities that were directly related in the industry that the project was working with. So obviously they had already gotten to have a conversation with the people they need to have a conversation with,
right? And I knew that is a part where the following does matter. If someone has like 10 million followers and they say, hey, go watch me on Seek.
Right.
That's a huge thing.
Right, exactly.
So
MDAO goes through the roof.
Like, I think 500x or something. It was nuts.
It's a really good idea. And I know that because we invented it back whenever there was this, we had this project called Fairground before like I really got into crypto and stuff. It's somebody else's company in Gainesville here, but they were like, it was going to be, and it never came to fruition, but it was designed on paper. And it was like, it was going to be on your app, an app on your phone. It was going to be like Bandcamp, where bands could have a landing page and their material and stuff. Mm-hmm. But then you could also people are holding their phones up now anyway, instead of cigarette lighters. So you could hold your phone up, and then somebody could remotely just jump between phones to watch the show or hear the show and things like that. So yeah, fantastic idea.
By the way, does anybody still have a Zippo lighter or a lighter app on their phone for holding up an actual lighter?
I have an actual Zippo lighter. But no,
these were popular for a while. You could go on the App Store and download a lighter.
I remember that.
And just flip
the very first flashlight app. I did use the very first flashlight app, and all it did was it made every pixel white on your screen.
Right,
it brightened. You remember when you weren't allowed to bring cameras into concerts?
I don't know. Probably.
Seems like a foolish,
today, even still, sometimes
decision on the part of the people trying to build publicity for their event. But yeah.
Well, hey, we're a quarter of the way to 2 hours. So we're supposed to have only been 15 minutes ago. So let's. Oh man, what are we doing? This I wasn't sure what to expect this week, so this was actually a really good conversation and thought provoking. So thank all of you for swinging by and having this conversation like we do every week. And while I'm thanking you, let's get some input from you. I'll start with Sean. Where can people follow you, and do you have any updates that you want to give out right now?
Well, if you want to follow me, you can just get behind me. I'm a dad. That's a dad joke. That's just Sean on the Twitters and Instagrams and YouTube. Please subscribe and follow me. I have some interviews going on this week. Hopefully with someone from WBRTDAO.
Cool. Yep, I'm on that, by the way, still.
Who else do I have Lisa, I got someone else I'm interviewing.
We're gonna do Red Pill in a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, we're gonna do the Red Pill thing. Gonna do check out Crypto Meme Review. I think I'm gonna do a big, like a sit down with Janice McAfee.
Nice.
I don't think the word's been getting out. You know, she still doesn't have John's body.
I know. I read about that recently, and it made me sad. I didn't realize that had happened to her, and it's unfortunate.
And also, I have like a little bit, like I had a friend of mine who's a huge lawyer in Spain, and I had him. You know, I was talking to him about, hey man, can you do something and help with this? And I've known him for 30 years. And he got weird and pissy with me about it after he started to get involved. So there's so much weird stuff there. But I want to probably talk to her.
And Jeff McCabe was the other one.
That's it, Jeff McCabe. Yeah. This week we were talking about video games. Thank you, Lisa. And what's going on that they're building over there.
Cool. I'll have to watch that too. I'm a fan of some of the stuff that Jeff has done in the past, so I'd love to catch up on what he's into.
We're talking about that. I think the comics, which I talked about like a year ago, so they're probably coming out, and then some video games that they're building.
Right on. Well, thank you. Lisa, how about yourself? What's going on with you, and where can people follow you, and what sort of updates can you give us today?
Yeah, so I just drove in from Kansas City at Big Square's Road-Ruta show. I'm working feverishly on everything for the big Team Mighty event, the Freedom Celebration here in Oklahoma City. So that'll be August 6th. And I really appreciate you guys, the donations that you've made. And I know Greg is going to be there. Sean is coming, whether he likes it or not.
I said I'm going to try. But no matter what, I will donate 100 copper ingots. How about that?
Thank you. I appreciate it. I hope you can be there because you're going to be there.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And
probably to last second giveaways too. So there might be unbilled things that I will just give people on the chain on there. So find me and I might give you an NFT or some Colt or whatever. Who knows?
Yeah, Greg's going to bring his dust wallet.
Damn right.
So, and Greg will be there. Bitcoin Ben's going to be there. Big Swear is and the Rotary crew are our champions for Team Mighty this year. And then we're celebrating my dad as the warrior this year. And we're going to be donating the proceeds of the event or portion of the proceeds of the event to Warriors for Freedom. And they take veterans out hunting and fishing and outdoors experiences here in Oklahoma and Texas. And do different things. So that's kind of my main focus right now. And then I just have my weekday show on YouTube and Twitter. But you can find all this information and tickets to the event at litecoinlisa.net.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And as a veteran, thank you for what you're doing too, because that stuff's important. Greg, what's going on with you, with Rivet, with things that you're involved in?
First and foremost with Rivet, we are right amidst our new website launch. We have our site out there. The new pricing is in fact live. We have and you can even see some fun arguments that I'm having with other brands on Twitter. Undercut the market substantially, and nobody can actually come anywhere near our prices to the point where I can boldly make the claim. We offer the lowest cost node infrastructure access for any network we support of anybody in the space. And I'd be happy to have a math battle with anyone who wants to miscalculate it and claim that I'm not telling the truth. The other thing that I'd like to throw in here real quick is just a shill for the alert button. There's a little alarm bell on YouTube. There is an alarm bell at the top of Twitter. Hit those things on people who might get shadow banned. They haven't yet nerfed that feature.
And check them weekly.
You will get their alerts. Do that to this show, because obviously Twitter has a problem with showing people that anybody watches this now. So this just gets more and more important. And do that with any creator, any mind, any person who you want to make sure still gets your support, regardless of whether or not the algorithm turns against them.
A pretty good shout out.
Yeah,
cool.
Lisa and I have been hit as well. Like the past, I think, couple of weeks, everything's been dropped. It's YouTube used to unsubscribe people, but that was obvious. That bell that Greg is talking about, now they just kill the bell. So check it every week or two on on different channels that you subscribe to.
Oh, you might be
Probably
unbelled.
see that you've been unbelled, that your actual notifications have been turned off.
Well, thanks for the heads up on that. I'll check it out too. But I know that I don't pay attention to all the knobs and buttons and widgets and stuff myself. It's kind of like, the advertising problem has made me just ignore all the stuff that I don't want to see, and it's not even there. And so that gets, I forget about the buttons.
Well, and pro tip, if you want to network your way into talking to a celebrity shill so that you can get them to pay attention to you and maybe shill your thing, that alarm bell is the only way you'll know within seconds that they've said anything on social.
All right. So, good to know. Good to know. Cool. Thanks, Greg. Joe, how about yourself? Give us an update from you, and what are you up to, and where can people follow what you're up to in general?
Okay. Don't follow me on Twitter because they'll unsubscribe as long as it hits a certain number anyway. So yeah, don't follow me there. It's not worth it. And I'll probably upset you anyway. Follow me on Den, essentially. That's probably the best place because, and occasionally follow Anonymous. You'll get some of my posts in there too, right? On Den. You won't know which, and you can't claim that I've said any of the things that are there, but they'll be there. And I guess other than that, we just did, speaking of Celebrity Shilling, we just did our third full year of the Super Happy Dragon Lucky Dragon Chain Den, in fact, World Blockchain Roundtable, all things Dragon Chain update show. And it's 3 years where we've not missed a single week. I wasn't on it every week, but and they used to be pre-recorded, and the format used to be interviews. And there's some, we've interviewed McAfee, and we've interviewed Brock Pierce, and we've interviewed Mashinsky, and some notable people. But it's interesting because we've never even, I don't even know how, I actually want to talk to you guys about it, but because we have a show that was specifically there. I was not Funface, by the way. Funface was a greater person than any that I've ever known in crypto. I don't know. I don't personally, conspiracy theory here, think that Funface is gone. I think Funface just got sick of the whole thing and walked away. I think Funface is still with us out there somewhere. But
if they start back up, though, they got picked up by the FBI.
Maybe, but one way or another, we've never accepted money to say anything. If anything, we always offered, if somebody has an important project or something to say, come and talk to us. We'll get you on one of these shows because we want to talk about it. Which tends to bring projects that have something to say and not just, we have a fake rocket we're building and we hope Elon sees it. That it is an interesting thing to me that we've never, ever been approached to say, hey, will you guys say this and we'll give you money? We've been approached by people who would normally do that, but they've never offered to give us anything. They've said, hey, would you guys talk about XYZ, or would you do something with this? But we've never, ever been offered money, which I always thought was kind of odd, right? It's like, why would they not at least come and say, hey guys, because I hear all the stuff from YouTubers, but I don't know. It's such an odd thing to me. So anyway, so go watch that show. It was a good update. There's tons of stuff going on with Den. There's an active vote that interesting to me because it's leading to some pretty it's behavior on steroids with blockchain. So some of the stuff that we're getting close to doing is, I don't know how big of an impact it'll be, but it's going to be pretty interesting. And it looks like the layer metrics is in the lead, right? I'm holding off my vote.
Didn't go to tip the scale.
Definitely don't miss the governance call later today, guys. The governance call will be an opportunity to discuss these things in greater detail.
Yeah,
right.
Totally.
Right. Anyway.
No, that's great because I had this up because that's what I was going to say. I'm Dave. You know me on Den as Distant. I have a weekly show on Wednesdays that I'm not going to be doing for the next 2 weeks. We're relaunching in our own layer. But Den is very important to me because I hate what happened to the internet and I want it back very badly. So check out Den.Social. That's where you can find a lot of the stuff that I'm involved with. And we have if you are on Den, then we have a dev prioritization vote up right now. And this is what Joe was talking about with behavior systems and behavior-based governance, where I voted already. I shouldn't probably like suggest what to vote for. I want you to vote for whatever you want. But this is a system where you are given a voting weight based on your behavior. You don't have to buy anything. Now you can go add liquidity and stuff like that to gain more voting weight, or you can do other specific things, specific behaviors that the system needs for you to be successful. So if you're on there and you've been doing anything at all, you have a vote. So go vote in the latest Den.DAO prioritization vote, I guess, and that'll direct the workflow over there. Other than that, I think that's all I've got for myself. And Google just signed me out on my sheet. So one moment, please. I'm sorry. I was going to read something and Google said, no, you're not. Right. So that's all the updates that I've got. I'm taking a vacation. I'm going to be in Iceland. It's going to be awesome. I'll send feedback. I'll put pictures in the travel and photography layer over in Den.Social. And I don't know, if we're lucky, I'll get somebody over there to start using and evangelizing Den in that nation. And we can spread this thing around.
Like a country made of them.
Yeah. Well, they're anarchists over there, a lot of them, so that'd be a great environment. Join this WBRT episode next week. The theme is going to be implications to recorded history. That's fun. I'm not as big of a history guy as a couple of other people here are. So I'll have my learning cap on, but I've got opinions on that anyway. So that'll be a lot of fun. Do ask questions in it. Watch for that in the WBRT layer on Den. That's where you can submit questions on the topics each week. Share this episode. The more you share it, the more lot that our hosts and topic contributors will get. Obviously, we cannot depend on what the average YouTuber or Twitterer depends on with distribution. So we have to be very manual about it. So go share it, hit that bell, and you'll get ownership in this show for doing it. So if you asked a question anyway, or if you were here. So like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Thank you very much.
Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best. Adaptable, all capital, label radical yet rational. A tactical approach is palpable if this animal is fallible, but that conclusion is laughable. So with for all detachable from the mandible, you see it now.